It was a positive experience overall, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, bro? Have you been?
Yeah. So I have been to therapy, and in my opinion, it was kind of a waste of time. So,
Right. It's only no damn therapist. Feeling good, living good, and we hope you're doing well too. Today we're about to talk about therapy and counseling. Definitely a touchy subject for folks. We'd love to hear your opinions about it too. So please comment your perspective, share with someone you find this interesting, subscribe if you have good vibes, and hit the like button if you want to be a better you. Fuck. We have to do that again. No, we don't. Fuck that shit, nigga.
keep it authentic.
Yeah, we trying to just take notes. We got notes in here, bro. We're working on it. You know, we usually just freestyle it. But so therapy, general thoughts.
Well, what I know we kind of brainstormed around this issue. I guess before general thoughts, my only question was what brought this about.
Okay, so I guess even then too, to give the general framework, right? General thoughts on it. Have we even been to therapy? Was it beneficial? And how was it beneficial? And then why did you go, right? What was the overlying catalyst for that? And then just outside opinions, like what are other people's opinions, pop culture's opinions about therapy? Again, it's a touchy subject. And then ultimately wrapping it up with final thoughts, you know? So I guess you said why?
Yeah. What brought this conversation into worthiness for you?
Just personal experience, probably. A lot of people around me going to therapy, people suggesting I go to therapy. And just, it's a part of life that's been reflective lately. So I guess these conversations between us, it's just something that we've wanted to be, of course, you know, perpetual quest for the ideal self.
Right.
I think mental health, that well-being, therapy is a part of it. And then in those considerations of therapy, I guess. What about you? Like, what's...
I mean, to what you're saying, bro, like, society has grown or evolved in a way to where this has been a focal point for the royal we, as I always like to bring up. Therapy is often portrayed as something important and something that everyone needs. So it's definitely a topic of this. I think it's a worthy topic of discussion that we touch on.
Right. I think that's a good segue, actually, because I've never been a fan of therapy, to be honest. You know, growing up, I went to therapy and counseling and stuff like that. And it definitely helped. It definitely gave different perspective on how to deal with life, so to speak. But like the homie Russ, he refers to them as, you know, you break it down, the rapist.
I'll take the rapists for 200. That's therapists.
Right? They're called shrinks.
They make you feel small sometimes, insignificant, you know, like...
You have to rely on this person to guide you through life, you know, and it's kind of like taking medicine or a sugar pill or something like that. Like, it's just a placebo almost to some people versus an actual tool. So I've always had skepticism, and like I've watched the Hannibal series.
Madness can be a medicine for the modern world. You take it in moderation, it's beneficial.
You know, so I'm always in the back of my mind, like, don't be too vulnerable. They can manipulate you and gaslight you to do certain things. That's, of course, a paranoid perspective, a little extreme. But it's just, you know, letting a stranger into my thoughts with the possible openness to, like, a negative influence is probably my biggest fear when it came to it. And not being able to articulate my thoughts and feelings myself and becoming reliant is a scary thought.
Got it. I mean, just as a response to what you said, bro, like I never thought of shrink, and I know we're big into spells and looking into why words are the way they are. Some people may need to shrink, you know, like on the counterpoint, but yeah, I do find that an interesting way to frame shrinks, quote unquote. My general thoughts around therapy, just to answer your question though, it's been one of indifference. Again, touching on this, bro, like society, it's relatively new in our society to embrace the idea of therapy. So it's relatively new to me too. But I'm not necessarily so negative about it, but it's not something that I immediately grew up on. I didn't have a background in going to therapy regularly. You know, it was something that, again, being a first generation citizen, it's not something, shrinks are not popular in the Philippines, for example. You know what I'm saying? Like,
just go to confession and call it a day.
Exactly. Shit like that. But going deeper into that, you have a negative connotation around therapy.
Not necessarily. I mean, it's more of an indifference than anything.
Okay.
It's definitely more negative. If I had to pick a side of positive and negative, I'm shifting a little bit depending on who it is, what the situation is, the scenario.
I guess you touched on firsthand experience. Can you go into that a little bit more? Like,
good segue.
Yeah.
Have you been?
Yeah.
You know, right on the money. Yeah. I mean, I went once recently, but it wasn't a solo session. I really went for the other person because I felt like it's something that they practice on an individual basis, and I care about our relationship. So I said, all right, I'll give it a try. We went once, had some breakthroughs, and it's not like we have another one scheduled. It's like, okay, let's work on what we just discussed and put it into action instead of having to rely and tell a third party. So how did it go? Like, okay, we could discuss that amongst ourselves, but I'm not gonna lie, bro. The therapy actually helped communicate some loose ends that we weren't able to get to with ourselves. So yes, I've been, and it was a positive experience overall, actually. Yeah. What about you? Have you been?
Yeah. So I have been to therapy. It was in relation to, I went in mostly because of where I was at life. I was transitioning from, I guess, my first job out of college. I figured because I've heard, good things about therapy, I was like, maybe I need help to sort of navigate my next steps, and just wanted to see what, take further from another mindset. Overall, my experience with therapy was positive. Like, I can't say that it was negative in any way, but also, did I find it beneficial? That's a separate question. And in my opinion, it was kind of a waste of time. Mostly, and again, just my opinion, but it was a waste of time because of me.
Flesh that out a little bit.
I have a background in insurance, and knowing that things you say to your doctor, things you say to your therapist, it's reflected on your life insurance, health insurance sort of things. So I was doing a lot of lying in my therapy sessions. I was really so truthful with my experiences of, my drug use, my alcohol use, these sort of things that I was making sure the doctors didn't have notes on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, I get where you're coming from with that. And I think those situations are the places where you should be honest with the person. So I get where you're like, I shot myself in the foot, so to speak, when it comes to that, because I didn't give them the proper information to therefore give me proper solutions or options.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, telling the truth, being honest is the key.
I mean, but at the same time, I'm an introspective person naturally. I spend a lot of time in my own head. So...
Right. It's only no damn therapist.
Well, no. Bro, it was refreshing because I had like a therapist that I could not relate to personally, right? Like older white woman, you know what I'm saying? Like, we live very different lives. And so, like, just those, there were some, like I said, some of it was helpful because I was like, there were some insights that I maybe pulled from her profession that I still use to this day, box breathing exercises, some of the exercises that were given. I maybe portrayed myself as more stable than I was at that point. At the end of the session, there was maybe more benefits I could have gained from it that I didn't allow myself to. Got
you. I mean, but there is still something that you took from it despite your indifference in the situation.
Right.
There's some stuff I took out of it despite my maybe more negative leaning perspective on it. So I mean, I guess ultimately, the question here is, was it beneficial and how? And I guess my conclusion is it actually was beneficial. It came in with a whole bunch of assumptions about it, obviously, like I was saying earlier, and it started out rough mentally. Like, do I even connect with this therapist? Even do they understand where I'm coming from?
Right.
But really, your ideal therapist is going to also be indifferent. They shouldn't give you an emotional response to things. They should give you as objective as possible response to what you're sharing with them. So I was super judgmental at first, but then like building an understanding with the therapist and like figuring out what kind of therapist they are, because there's hundreds of different types of therapists you can go to. So I mean, you want to make sure you know which type of therapy you need or you're looking for. And then we were able to speak each other's language type of thing, right? So we were able to come to the conclusion to help start pushing the ball and have a meaningful and vulnerable conversation ultimately. It was a new beginning, and it was a deeper understanding between a deeper understanding of boundaries with my therapy partner, and it was definitely worth the time. You know, I'm grateful that I went through that experience. I'm not saying I need to go again necessarily, you know, but it gave me skin in the game. And so like, like someone can't say I don't like pickles if I haven't tried pickles type shit. So like as an adult, being able to go to therapy and having that experience just gives me a perspective and at least a first person experience of it. And I can't just have an opinion about it without having that experience. So, I think it was good. Always try and get experiences, man. Live life.
Right.
I
agree with that, bro. Like, if you haven't tried therapy, it's beneficial to at least try. That doesn't mean you're going to get as many insights as we did. You might get more, you might get less. Results may vary.
Take something out.
But, you can, if you're willing to go on the perpetual search for the ideal self, like it does help in that regard.
The overdiagnoses of everything. It's like you have this, you have that, and then people take that as an excuse to not ever have to get better.
Oh, absolutely.
Now I can be permanent because I realize I've got this. I went to the doctor, and the doctor says that I have this, and so that's the reason why I don't respond. I've got ADHD. I think now it's like 1 in 2 people has ADHD, and that's why I'm not able to focus and do my homework or complete a task or keep going to the gym every single day. And I hate it. It's the self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I really can't think of a quicker way to destroy your mind than go to therapy.
Yeah, is that we got talked about it. It's that leaning on it type shit, the placebo effect.
Right, you make therapy your religion, it becomes a problem. I guess is what they're ultimately saying. I don't agree with a lot of specifically these two people say, but
yeah.
I can definitely see where they're coming from on this topic. But again, we touched on this as well. You make anything your religion and it becomes
right. Be careful.
Right.
It's just a part of your life for a part of the solution that's an ever going architectural venture, bro.
Right. But then you make, sitting you make sitting down and talking about your problems and woe is me like a habit.
Yeah,
that becomes
you're like, bro,
problematic as
bro, like I'm depressed, bro. So you got to cut me some slack on that. Oh, I got bipolar, so I'm gonna snap at you sometimes.
Right.
Don't be surprised. What? Just try to do better.
Right.
You don't gotta always give those diagnoses power over you. Really, it's just knowing what your challenges are and then knocking them bitches out one swing at a time.
I guess it is part of the process though to speak on those issues. Right, in therapy.
How do you shoot it down if you don't know what the target is?
Right. So, I mean, I'm not downplaying anybody for going to therapy and doing that, but it should be part of your problem solving experience.
Part of your problem solving, not a problem catalyst.
Yeah, exactly.
Ultimately, always try new things that don't break your principles or your morals.
Wait, before we wrap real quick, would you go again?
Yeah.
Do you see yourself going again?
Yeah, I would try it again, given the circumstance. If now that I know what it's like, and I've been doing actual research on if I was to go to therapy, what type of therapist should I get? So I prop engineered some stuff in ChatGPT, and was just like, give me 20 different therapists for these types of solutions, and bro, there's a lot out there. Do your research, use AI, and because that's okay, now I know when I go to therapy, I know what type of therapist to search for. He's like, oh, therapy in Seattle.
Right.
Nah, I'm looking for a whatever therapist.
Right.
So, do your research, find out what's good for you. Don't be out here getting caught up in the system, doing things just to be doing things. Put some research behind it, because your mind, your body, and your spirit are very sensitive things, and apparently we only get one. So
similarly, I would go again. And again, what you said was based on the circumstances. Life is always a set of changing circumstance. I can see it being beneficial down the road, allowing for different thought processes, maybe even outside your normal circles. You don't have to take everything, as fact, but just another perspective to take in. I think is ultimately helpful always. So it's definitely something I can see myself going back to. Again, not that I'm like seeking that right now, but if a circumstance like I was to lose my parents or one of my loved ones, maybe, or if again I find myself lost in my next steps in life, maybe that's a good time to sort of seek those agents of help out.
Yeah, those other options, right? The introspection, super healthy, looking to yourself always. You got your good vibe tribe around you. We have beautiful life partners, fortunately. But we have all these strong relationships, and hopefully you have at least one person you can go to as well. Because it's not always about the outside. It's right, the introspect, the inside, the self-esteem being as high as possible without being narcissistic or conceited, and then having a strong group of friends that you can level with, your good vibe tribe that keep those frequencies high.
Right.
And then, like you're saying, the other resources that we can gather, like such as therapy or training, getting into shape, different things that will help all of our energies meet at the same level, body, mind, spirit, type thing, because they're all different schools of thought.
I've never been to therapy, but everybody's got their type of therapy. My type of therapy is nature kind of thing, and going outdoors.
Do you plan on ever going to therapy?
If I need it, yeah. Okay. I'm not against it, but where I've been and where I'm at, haven't needed it, yeah.
Okay. Then the therapy question, I think everybody needs therapy. Yeah.
What's wrong?
Everyone needs therapy. You all need something. There's something wrong with you that you cannot heal through any other means or methods. I hate this kind of messaging. We basically told young people to pathologize themselves, their own issues, and always turn it into some kind of condition. Oh, I have BPD. Why? Because sometimes I get hungry, and then other times you're a fucking human, okay? You don't have BPD. A lot of people are just self-diagnosing because it's like the new thing that's in on these social media apps. And this is another reflection of that. Who are you to look at somebody who says, I'm good, and you're like, no, you need therapy.
Yeah.
And I guess in therapy, people learn how to gaslight.
Yeah, no, for real, bro. You have to be a self-conscious, high self-esteem being to do well in this world. Like, you can't just stumble upon success by accident. And if you're not a confident, strong-minded individual, that money ain't gonna be there forever.
Right.
Somebody gonna come take that shit.
I mean, the Joker famously went into therapy and gaslit his therapist into becoming Harley Quinn. So,
damn, hey, and Hannibal Lecter gaslit his therapist into becoming the fucking Red Dragon or whatever it is. Like vulnerability plays on two sides, bro.
Right.
Like being a therapist, bro. Imagine how much therapy they need, the type of shit they hear.
Right.
And then have to take that burden in. But that's why, like, in like the psychology classes and shit that I've taken, it's best to just be indifferent therapist. The best thing is to not get emotional about it. You just take things in as objectiveness. Like, okay, this person has this issue. These are the solutions that apply to that. Not like, damn, this guy's life is fucked up.
So don't be an empath don't be a therapist if you're an empath.
Yeah, pretty much. Or, learn how to downplay that emotional connection.
Right. This is your job. You have to look at it as objective as you can, right? Like, this is my job.
Don't get involved.
Exactly.
These cats ain't your friends at work.
Well, there's Tony Soprano or the Joker. I mean,
especially if it's them. But honestly, I hope that if I was Soprano's therapist, he'd be like, hey, remember that time I told you about that murder? I'm like, what? No. I don't recall. I didn't take any notes or anything, so refresh my memory. You better be careful around that shit.
I know you've sort of touched on this a little bit, but are there other ways to achieve the same results that therapy provides?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like conversations that we have, right. Or maybe you and your girl have, you and your dad have,
right?
Or introspection times. I don't know if you journal, those moments,
right?
Those all give the same type of feeling, because I think therapy is just about getting to the root of things. Like, why does this feel this way? Why are you perpetuating these behaviors? Why do you think this way? And so how do you reverse engineer that to get to a place of satisfaction,
Improvement?
improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's always going to be something going on. Life's not going to be perfect.
So therapy is not a catch-all.
No, which is why I got to find the specific therapy. Like I might go to a different therapist about a different issue,
right,
versus another issue. So it's not like this or that. It's this and that, because you use different things for different specific needs. It's not like I, go to God for all my needs. Like, you pray to God for most things. You should, or a higher power, but you're not going to go to him for fucking workout advice. You're going to go to a trainer, You're going to go to your...
Or YouTube. There's a lot of good things on there. YouTube.
Hey, YTU. Look, we got bachelors, but we got our doctorates at GU and YTU. Google University, YouTube Energy University. And I'm getting another doctorate at Chat GPTU.
OpenAI.
You know what I'm saying? Bro, there's a lot. Good point. There's a lot of information out there that you can get by yourself. You don't always have to go back to school. You don't always have to take that master class. So much information out there. Again, though, with that being said, therapy is definitely another way that gives you a perspective to look at your life from maybe another angle that you might not have looked at it from. Like, we never are able to see ourselves, see our reflection, but you're never going to see yourself.
Right.
So for somebody else to be able to do that and you to deduct what's helpful for you and to find breakthroughs and not be so offended and closed-minded, but to be optimistic about, I guess, realistically optimistic about what the possibilities are. Because don't be cynical, but don't be too optimistic about what the possibilities are. I mean, you're going to have just more options. And what do they say? Mr. Finance, diversification, baby. I would say good therapy session, but I'm going to say good generic session. And if you're still here, appreciate you. Our Cash App is down below to pay for this therapy session that we just had. But ultimately, try new things.
Let us know what your final thoughts on therapy. Like, comment, subscribe, because you're dope. And have a great night.